right, here we go. The Big League Divisional Championship Series is about to begin. We have, of course, 8 teams left, our 4 division winners, and our 4 wild card winners here in this past round. Let's take a look at the matchups real quick. First, we have Fort Collins and Las Vegas. Fort Collins this year advancing past the wild card round by beating the Washington Generals, going against Las Vegas, who won the division with the best record in the big league this year, 107-55. They've had probably the most dominant team across the league this season and are definitely the favorites here as we enter the postseason. Although, of course, anything can happen here in the postseason. First in runs scored for Las Vegas, second in runs against, and then, of course, the best pitching staff in the Ice Conference is Fort Collins. So let's see if they can control the best offense in the Ice Conference in Las Vegas. Should be an interesting matchup. If you look, even though 107-55, Fort Collins did have the 7-5 series advantage in this matchup, so it should be a pretty good series. Next, we have Montreal and Somerville. Montreal advancing from the Ice Conference wild card round as well, as they took out the Galveston Gremlins. And they're going to be facing Somerville, who won the Sapphire division. Somerville's had a really great season. Basically from day one, they were in first place and just never gave it back. 100-win season, I think the first 100-win season in Somerville's history. And looking at this matchup, Montreal actually dominated this matchup this year, winning 9 of the 12 games. So Somerville, even though they're the home field advantage and the favorites, they have their work cut out for them in this matchup. 4th in runs scored in the Ice Conference, 5th in runs against, an above average team. We'll see how the Somerville Moneyline and JR's team can do. And then we have the San Diego Seals, wildcard winners in the Fire Conference, as they advanced after beating, I'm forgetting right now. Who'd they beat? Who did San Diego beat? Let's go look. I'm forgetting already. San Diego beat the Milwaukee Mobsters, of course. Thank you so much for remembering. San Diego, best offense in the Fire Conference. They're going to go up against Jacob and the Kingston Frontenacs. These are 2 teams that have traditionally had some difficulties in the postseason. San Diego finally breaking that curse this season, so one of these 2 teams will advance to the conference championship this year. Let's see if the Frontenacs can get it together. 4th in runs scored, 4th in runs against, an above average team and a well-rounded team. And this head-to-head matchup was owned by the Seals, 8-4. I think not only did they have the 6 interdivisional games, but these 2 teams were also rivals. So they had those 6 rivalry game weeks as well. So San Diego winning the season series, and we'll see how this one plays out. And then our last matchup is the Huron Herons against the Spokane Sasquatches. The Sasquatches had a really great team this year, really one of the more dominant teams in the Fire Conference. 2nd in runs scored, 1st in runs against, so offensive and defense, pitching and hitting, really working for this team all season long. 106 wins, 2nd in the big league, just behind the Las Vegas High Rollers. So Huron made a lot of late moves, really transformed their team, struggled a bit late, but then advanced here in the wild card round. So they're very much a dangerous team and no one to overlook. So between Michael and Chris here, we'll have to see how this plays out. And looking again at their season series, it looks like they tied that 6-6. So that being said, let's get this series underway here. Looks like in games 1, we have DJ Marksberry for Somerville going against Manny Warner for Montreal. Sam Hunt on the mound against Willie Fonseca for the High Rollers. The Herons are bringing out George Reed, and he's going to go up against Scott Kinney of the Sasquatches. And then for the Seals, we have Joe Butts facing off against Zach Coster, the 2-way star for the Frontenacs. So, that being said, let's get to some playoff baseball. And of course, if anybody can't hear me, if there's any technical difficulties, I'm running this remotely, so please just say something in chat, and I will do my best to make some adjustments on the fly. Alrighty, here we go. Oh no, I swear to God I changed all these game times, but after game 1 we're going to adjust this. But right now it looks like we're going to have 4 separate games. I swear this stuff doesn't save. I definitely changed this. So Montreal on the board first. Steve Moss doubles driving in Johnson. So quickly on the board against the Somerville money line. And Somerville ties things up in the third inning. Bottom of the second inning with a Elias Huerta double driving in Deathridge. 1-1 as we go to the third. I know what happened when I switched the matchups between Spokane and San Diego. I forgot to reset the times again. Unfortunate, but we will get it resolved after game one. Both teams keep getting base runners in this game, but not a lot of runs coming across the board. Not able to string together hits. DJ Marksberry pitching pretty well here into the sixth inning. 2 on now, though, for Montreal as Travis Plath walks. Fielder's choice makes it first and third with 2 out, but they can't get it across. Vinny Penelver strikes out, swinging. Now Marksberry's through 6. On the other side, Warner's pitching pretty well as well, although there's a home run by Adam Jointer, giving the Somerville money line a 2-1 lead. And now another home run. Frank Escobar makes it 3-1. So just as I was giving Warner props, gives up a couple solo homers. Meanwhile, leadoff runner on for Montreal, but quickly one down, and then a double play will end the inning. So as we go to the bottom of the seventh, Somerville 3, Montreal 1. Meanwhile, Huron and Spokane now underway here in the top of the first. On to the top of the ninth. Montreal down 3-1. Last chance here in game one. But a quick 1-2-3 by the money line gets that, closes the door on the game. So Somerville taking game one 3-1 over Montreal at home. Meanwhile, top of the third, 2 on, nobody out for the Herons. Still a scoreless game. And a double play gets the Sasquatches out of the inning. On to the bottom of the third we go. Meanwhile, George Reed pitching pretty brilliantly for the Herons to start things off. No hits through 3. First and third, nobody out for the Herons now. And first run of the game comes across as Arturo Revolurio signals driving in Rodriguez. And then a wild pitch is going to score Vickers. So that's 2-0 going to the bottom of the fourth as the inning ends. George Reed now 4 hitless innings, 8 strikeouts. Absolutely dealing for the Herons right now. Bases loaded, nobody out for the Herons, trying to put this game out of reach. Arturo Revolurio hits a sac fly, driving in Rodriguez. Continues to drive in runs, so I can struggle with his name. But they only get 1, so 3-0. Spokane gets out of the jam. On to the bottom of the 6th we go. The Sasquatches have no answer for George Reed right now. 6 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, no hits. Absolutely phenomenal performance by George Reed so far. With 11 strikeouts, you have to wonder how deep he's going to go into this game. I'm sure his pitch count's getting up there. First hit of the game for the Sasquatches, a double by Mike Marino, breaks up the no-hitter in the 7th inning. But Reed gets out of the inning unscathed, so after 7, 12 strikeouts. Meanwhile, the San Diego-Kingston game has started. I totally missed that. Kingston's on the board with a Rich Gordon solo home run in the first. Makes it 1-0. We're into the third now in that game. Record in Spokane. We'll have to check that one out post-game. It looks like George Reed's out of the game now, finally. 7.1 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, quite a performance. And the bullpen comes in and closes the 8th inning. So on to the 9th, 3-0 Herons. Looking for the shutout here on the road. An error in the top of the 9th gives the Sasquatches a runner, and then a walk, and then a double by Ben Fowler. So now all of a sudden they're in luck, but then quick 2 outs. Second and third, a quick 2 outs, and the Sasquatches only get 1 run there. So they looked like they were going to threaten for a second, but the Herons close the door and take game 1 3-1. Meanwhile, San Diego ties the game up with a David Grieve single, driving in Glenn Marks in the 5th. 1-1 as we go to the bottom half of the 5th. Only 2 hits for Kingston right now. There's the third. Ron Oliver hits a double, but quickly retires. Jason Gunn's quickly retired. Second and third, 1 out for the Seals here, trying to get a lead. Bases loaded now. But they can't score. Kingston gets out of the inning, 1-1 still as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Bases loaded, 1 out for San Diego again. But they can't get a run across. 10 hits, only 1 run for the Seals, leaving runners all over the base paths. Todd Vela has 4 hits. Kingston doing absolutely nothing on offense. 1, 2, 3, they go in the 7th. So on to the top of the 8th, 1-1. And on second, nobody out for the Frontenacs. First and third, 2 down. But Kimbrough strikes out looking, so it remains 1-1 into the 9th. Leadoff runner on for San Diego, Corey Henderson singles. And then a David Grieve single gives them some life. Second and third now on a ground out. Bases loaded on the Todd Vela walk. He has been impossible to retire here in game 1. And there it is. A Bill Bryce single drives in 2 runs to give the Seals the 3-1 lead in the 9th. And then another hit. Jim Green, 2-run homer. 5-1 Seals. So they break it open here in the top of the 9th. That'll give 3 outs left to Kingston to try to tie this game back up and get back into it in game 1. Leadoff walk for Rich Gordon. Good start. Case and Lockwood singles, 2 on, nobody out. It's going to be a pitching change for the Seals as they bring in Padilla. A double play, and he does his job right away and ends the game for the Seals. So 5-1, Seals take it over the Frontenacs in game 1. Fort Collins and Las Vegas is now underway as a quick top of the first brings up Las Vegas in the bottom half. Las Vegas, first one on the board. Marcos Cepeda grounds out, driving in Verdugo. And a 3-run homer by Alex Cabezas gives Las Vegas the early 4-0 lead here in the 2nd inning. Fort Collins with a double by Rodolfo Torres puts them on the board, and then a Bill Torgensen single drives in 2 more, so 4-3, and they're still threatening, but they can't get any more runs. Quick 2 outs. But 3 runs in the 4th makes this a game again. Las Vegas 4, Fort Collins 3 as we go to the bottom of the 4th, a quick bottom of the 4th, and on to the top of the 5th. I do have the speed turned up a little bit here for game 1, so those things happen. We'll go back down to factor 20 once we fix the game times in game 2. And Fort Collins ties it up. Tyler Hill singles, driving in Matkin, and a bases loaded, 1 out, so they're threatening still. But Las Vegas gets out of the jam, keeps it tied, so 4-4. Fort Collins, came back from that 8-0 lead in the wild card series, so they're not giving up at any point in any of these games. First and third, 1 out for Las Vegas, and almost didn't get anything across, but Verdugo singles and drives in a run. Bases loaded after England's hit by the pitch, but Marcos Cepeda pops out, so Fort Collins getting out of the jam. Both these teams stranding runners left and right and scoring runs. The offenses are showing up here. And it's tied. Rich Matkin doubles, driving in Pete Kellogg, so 5-5 here in the 6th inning. Fort Collins claws back again and ties it onto the bottom of the 6th for the High Rollers. Las Vegas strands 2 more runners in the 7th. 5-5 we remain into the 8th. Back-to-back walks gives Fort Collins life. A quick ground out and a pop out, though, ends the inning. So more base runners left as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Two on for Las Vegas, 1 down here. Bases loaded now after a hit by pitch with 2 outs. And Alejandro Martinez comes through with a single, driving in Cox and Harrison. That's going to give Las Vegas the 7-5 lead here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 3 outs remaining for Fort Collins here in Game 1. A Torres walk and a Torgerson single gives them some life. And another walk from McGoldrick, so bases loaded, 1 out here for Fort Collins. A strikeout by Gonzalez, and it's going to be a pitching change for Las Vegas as Fetter's coming in to try to close the door. And he can't! Justin Walters singles, driving in 2 runs for Fort Collins, and they come back again and tie this game for the 3rd time, 7-7. Las Vegas, Verdugo leads things off with a single in the 9th. And now a walk, so 2 on, nobody out. And that's it! Las Vegas ends the game in the bottom of the 9th. What a game. Back and forth these two teams went. TJ Deal with a single to drive in Verdugo to end it. So 8-7, Las Vegas takes Game 1 in what was a really wild game. I mean, this went back and forth, back and forth. Left on bases were just ridiculous, I feel like. 10 left on base, 13 left on base. Pretty intense. Let's take a look at the Spokane game and see what the record was there. Looks like George Reed ties the Fire Conference playoff record with 12 strikeouts. No surprise there. That was a pretty amazing pitching performance from George Reed. So, all right, let's finish today. Let's save that. All right. On to Game 2. All right, we got action right away. Jamie Lindahl with a 2-run homer for Fort Collins, putting them on the board. Oh, we got to slow this down. I can't go 4 games this fast. Yikes. Tom Larson doubles, driving Johnson. Steve Moss doubles, driving Larson. And then a Travis Platt 2-run homer breaks things open for Montreal. 4-0 here in the first inning. Somerville hasn't even come to the plate yet. Get Fort Collins with a quick 2-0 lead as well. Vinny Penalver hits a solo home run, so Montreal continues to pile it on in the first. 5 runs. Jesse Carter with a double, driving in Revelorio. Makes it 1-0 Herons in the third. San Diego on the board. Domingo Ganoza singling, driving in Grieve, making it 1-0. And 2-0 now as Mike Wilson follows it up with a single, driving in Marks. So second and third, 2 outs. They're trying to add a little more here, but they can't. That ends the inning. So 2 runs gives San Diego the lead, 2-0 here. Leadoff runner on for Kingston. Bill Rowe with a solo homer for the Somerville money line, getting them on the board, making it 5-1 now in the bottom of the second. Meanwhile, the Herons are threatening, 2 on, 1 out. And they get a run. Jonathan Vickers reaches on a fielder's choice, driving in Cole. Two on, nobody out for the Herons in the top of the fifth. Justin Connolly hits a 2-run homer for Somerville, so they continue to chip away at Montreal's lead, making it 5-3. Meanwhile, the Herons, Steve Cole singles, driving in Carter. They have bases loaded, nobody out against Spokane. Looking to do more damage, and they do. Ricky Rodriguez singles, driving in Rivera. Pat Farrow singles before that, driving in Carter. So chaining together a bunch of hits here. Rich Matkin singles for the Fort Collins, driving in Walters, making that game 3-0. And San Diego adding a run. Mike Wilson making it 3-0 with a single, driving in Grieve. Meanwhile, the Herons adding more and still nobody out. Wow, 8-0 now. My goodness. So runners advance on a wild pitch scoring, runners advance on a balk scoring, and then a sac fly drives in Rodriguez. So basically, the Herons just cleared the bases without getting a base hit. Pretty insane. That's going to make it 8-0 going to the bottom of the fifth. This game's pretty much over. Another run for Las Vegas cuts the lead to 1. Marcus Cepeda singles, driving Martinez, and then Somerville doing the same thing on an error, which drives in Charette. So the Montreal error drives in a run and makes that game 5-4. So both those games are within 1 run now. Meanwhile, the Herons continue to add runs. Victor Rivera with a solo homer, making it 9-0 in that game. Kingston strands 2 more runners. They need to get that offense going. Their playoff woes continue. And the Seals driving 2 more on a Todd Vela double. Marks and Wilson are going to score. Makes it 5-0 Seals here in the 6th inning. Oscar Muniz leaves the game with an injury for Kingston. We'll have to see if it's serious or not. And Kingston's on the board. Eddie Oakes hits a 2-run homer, cutting into that 5-0 lead, so it's now 5-2 in the bottom of the 7th. Meanwhile, we have a final in Spokane as the Herons dominate in Game 2, 9-0. Anguiano went 8.2 innings pitched, gave up just the 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, so he almost had a complete Game 1 hitter. Between George Reed and Anguiano, looks like that trade's working out. Those trades are working out for the Herons here in the Divisional Championship Series, at least. If the other team can't score any runs, that's a good way to win. Miguel Herrera hits a solo homer for Somerville, and that's going to tie the game 5-5 in the bottom of the 7th inning. So they erase a 5-0 deficit and come all the way back here. Meanwhile, we go to the 9th inning in Las Vegas. Fort Collins up 3-2 still. 3 outs left for Las Vegas in the bottom half. See if Fort Collins can add any insurance runs here. Leadoff runner on for Montreal. Bottom of the 9th now in Las Vegas. Montreal takes the lead on a Coughlin single. It's going to drive in Platt, so 6-5 in the top of the 8th. Meanwhile, Las Vegas first out in the 9th. 2 down, and that's a final. So Fort Collins ties the series up against Las Vegas with a 3-2 victory in Game 2, and that's going to be a split series going to Game 3. Zach Coster solo homer in the 9th inning, and then a Carson Lockwood solo homer in the 9th inning. So with no outs still, Kingston all of a sudden within 1 run. Jamal Kimbrough's going to walk, putting the tying run on base. First and third now. Connolly singles is going to bring up Smith. And too little, too late for Kingston. They can't get it done. So a valiant attempt there in the 9th inning to take Game 2. But San Diego takes a 2-0 series lead on the road. Both the Herons and the Seals have a 2-0 series lead on the road. And this just continues to be a theme for the Fire Conference, where the division champions cannot seem to win playoff series or games. Obviously, there's a lot of series left, but neither of those teams are going to be happy with a 2-0 series deficit going on the road now. Meanwhile, bottom of the 9th, leadoff double by Somerville, and first and third, nobody out. They're down by 1 against Montreal here, so trying to tie this game back up. A fielder's choice. Looks like the guy was thrown out at home as it's first and second now, and Somerville ties it up on a Justin Connolly single. Herrera's going to score. Still 1 down here. Bases loaded now. Pitching change for the machine. Miller's coming into the game to face Detheridge. Let's see if he can get him out of the jam. He can't. Somerville, with the improbable comeback here in the 9th inning, wins the game 7-6. Keaton Detheridge hits a sac fly to score Reyes, and that is it. 7-6. They came into the 9th trailing. They walk away winners, and they take a 2-0 series lead here. Let's take a look real quick. On to game 3. Kingston, 3 hits to start the game. Bases loaded, nobody out. My goodness, though. Coster strikes out. Lockwood strikes out. And Eddie Oaks flies out. So bases loaded, nobody out. Kingston just strands them on the base paths. That is just brutal. On to the bottom of the first we go in San Diego. 2-1, nobody out for Fort Collins, threatening bases loaded, nobody out for Fort Collins. And first and third, nobody out for Montreal. So a lot of teams getting off to quick starts here. Let's see if they can get runs across. Steve Moss singles, driving in Johnson. 1-0 Montreal takes the lead. Fort Collins can't get a run across after having base runners. Montreal still threatening, but 2 down now. And they just get the 1 run, so after 1-0 Montreal over Somerville. Joe Smith grounding into a double play, getting the Seals out of another jam in the second. Kingston needs to find a player who's going to get a big hit for them. David Bell singles, driving in Verdugo, so 1-0 Las Vegas takes the lead over Fort Collins in the top of the second. Meanwhile, 2 on for Somerville here. 2 down. They can't score, so on to the bottom of the second we go in that game. Zach Coster, 2-run homer for the Frontenacs, putting them on the board and giving them the lead in the third, 2-0. So after striking out with the bases loaded in the first, he gets some retribution here in the third and gives Kingston their first lead. Jesse Montgomery is going to leave the game with an injury for Somerville. We'll have to check that one out after the game. I know Oscar Muniz had an injury as well. We'll have to see how that played out. I'm actually going to check that because that was a minute ago, and I forgot to look. Let's see. Muniz, just a day-to-day injury. 4 days, moderate. Somerville, 3-run home run. Frank Escobar gives them the 3-run lead here in the third over Montreal. Jeremy Dunn leaves the game with an injury for Las Vegas. Bases loaded for the Sasquatches, 2 down though. They can't score. On to the fifth we go. Sasquatch's offense has been completely quiet. Zach Coster leaves the game with an injury, so the injuries are piling up for everybody here in Game 3. Let's see if any of these are serious. We'll have to check it after the game. Meanwhile, Aaron Harrison doubles, driving in Martinez. That's going to give that's going to give Las Vegas their second run. 2-0 over Fort Collins, and Adam Joyner hits a sac fly, driving in Charette, so 4-1 now, Somerville on top of the machine. Still a scoreless game into the 6th inning in Huron. Pete Kellogg, solo home run, cuts the lead in half. It's now 2-1 Las Vegas over Fort Collins, and I'm really liking Pete Kellogg. He's having a great playoff, and he's young. He's going to be a great piece for Fort Collins moving forward. Spokane on the board. Just their second run of this postseason, giving them a 1-0 lead in the sixth. Manny Perez with a triple to driving Bachelor. Joe Smith singles driving in Oliver, so that's going to make it 3-0 Kingston. Rodolfo Torres singles driving in Lacey and McGoldrick for Fort Collins in the sixth. And that's going to give them the 3-2 lead over Las Vegas. Todd Vela is going to ground out, and that's going to drive in Grieve, making it 3-1. So San Diego is on the board in the bottom of the sixth. Bases loaded, nobody out for the Herons, threatening against Spokane. Eddie Oaks hits a 2-run homer for Kingston, making it 5-1. And the Herons do cash in. Chris Vesey doubles, driving in Cole and Farrow. Still nobody out in the bases loaded in that game. That's not good for Spokane. Arturo Rivolorio singles, driving in 2 more. Rodriguez and Vesey score. So that makes it 4-1. They break it open in the bottom of the seventh. We're going to go to the top of the eighth here, and that's going to put Spokane on the spot here to really... they really have to score. They're going to be in that 3-0 series deficit, and that is going to be tough to come back from. Spokane can't score in the top of the eighth. They're going to have 3 outs remaining in this game. 3-run homer for Tyler Hill for Fort Collins, and they extend the lead over the Las Vegas High Rollers, 6-2 now. Meanwhile, Glenn Marks with a triple, driving in Green, adding 1 back for the Seals, making it 5-2. They still trail by 3, though. Huron threatening to put this out of reach. Second and third with 1 out now. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Kingston adds an insurance run with Joe Smith solo home run, making it 6-2 in the 8th inning. Pitching change for the Sasquatches, trying to keep it close, but a walk drives in a run, making it 5-1 now. And a Rivolorio single drives in Farrow and Vesey, making it 7-1. I'm going to start calling him AR. Adam Joyner is hit by a pitch. He's going to drive in a run, and then a triple clears the bases for Somerville, making it 9-1 and now 10-1 after a Escobar double. So Somerville has broken this wide open even further in the top of the ninth, basically closing the door on the machine here in Game 3, and they're going to take a dominant 3-0 series lead in this series. Looks like the Herons are going to do the same thing with that 7-1 lead in the ninth. And Kingston looking to claw 1 back here. So Fort Collins holds on for a 6-2 win over Las Vegas. So they've got the best team in the TBL on the ropes here, down 2-1. Somerville adding on more runs here. 11-1 on a Deatheridge double, and then a Yamashita single drives in row. So that's 12-1. Meanwhile, Wayne Williamson reaches on an error and scores a run for Spokane. But that's going to be a final 7-2. The Herons take it and take a 3-0 series lead. Meanwhile, we have a final in San Diego as Kingston hangs on for the win. Favia now gets a win for the Frontenacs. So we've got 2 series at 3-0. We've got 2 series at 2-1 as we go into game 4s. Let's take a look at the injuries. Zach Coster, moderate for 1 week. We'll see if that has an impact on Kingston's ability to come back in this series. Let's see who else had injuries. I think Somerville had an injury. Let's take a look. Let's go back. Jesse Montgomery left the game with an injury. Didn't look serious there. And Jeremy Dunn for Las Vegas. Let's take a look at Las Vegas real quick. Jeremy Dunn, this is going to be a serious injury. He's going to be out 4 to 5 weeks. So the rookie starting pitcher for Las Vegas done for the postseason. That is unfortunate. And on to game 4, last game of this sim. Then we will drop a file, and if people export, we'll probably finish this up tonight. Maybe tomorrow morning. We'll see how it goes. I think this Sasquatch's Herons series is a rematch of the conference championship, 2 seasons ago? First and third, 2 outs, and San Diego scores on a Clark Heine single, driving in Bill Bryce. 1-0. They take an early lead in the bottom of the first. had to step away for a second, but it looks like Matt Mace leaves the game with an injury in the fourth for Montreal. That's not good. And then Jamie Lindahl with a solo home run, giving Fort Collins the 1-0 lead on Las Vegas. And then we have Eddie Oakes with a single driving in 2 runs. Kingston with a 2-1 lead over San Diego. Joey Harrison's going to walk, driving in Verdugo, making that game 1-1. So bases loaded walk, tying that game. And then a 2-run single by Alejandro Martinez gives them the 3-1 lead here in the 5th inning. Meanwhile, Chris Robertson for Kingston suffering an injury. Spokane on the board first. Mike Marino singles. He's out at second, but Sobel scores before he gets tagged out. Verdugo with a solo home run, giving the High Rollers another run. And then Nick Ventris leaves the game for the Sasquatches with an injury. He was injured coming into this series, so hopefully that's not too serious. 2-run homer by Manny Perez gives the Sasquatches a 3-0 series lead. Offense may be finally waking up here in Game 4. Hopefully it's not too late for the Sasquatches. They have a lot of work to make up if they want to win this series. 2-run homer for Kyle Lacey makes that game a lot closer. So 4-1 becomes 4-3 as we go into the 7th inning. Fort Collins has repeatedly come back from deficits this postseason, so definitely not out of it yet. 0-0 in the top 8th. Somerville and Montreal. I haven't even noticed this game happening down here. It's been so quiet. 2 on with 2 outs, though. Somerville's threatening. Meanwhile, Rodolfo Torres hits a solo homer. That ties the game in the bottom of the 7th for Fort Collins. So they come back from a 3-run deficit to tie this game. Fernando Mendoza, 7 innings pitched. Shutout innings pitched for Somerville so far. Runners advance on the wild pitch for San Diego, and Ganoza scores, so that's going to tie the game 2-2 in the 6th. We go to the 9th inning in a 0-0 game in Montreal right now. Somerville trying to close the series, Montreal trying to stay alive. Rich Matkin singles, driving in Pete Kellogg. That's going to give Fort Collins the 5-4 lead. So now they have put the pressure back on Las Vegas here, and they have the bases loaded, 2 outs, trying to threaten and add more. And they do! Grand slam! Kyle Lacey! 9-4, Fort Collins. They break this game wide open, erase the 4-1 deficit, and now are in complete control of this game and maybe this series if Las Vegas can't find some magic here in the last 2 innings. Second home run of the game for Kyle Lacey. That is as big of a postseason hit as we've seen. Meanwhile, 2 on, nobody out for the Herons, down 3-0. Quick out by Rodriguez and a fly out by Vesey, though. Maybe the Sasquatches can escape this jam here, and they do. So they're going to have a 3-0 lead going into the 9th to try to stay alive in this series. Meanwhile, we're into the 10th inning, still scoreless in Montreal. Just the 1 hit for Somerville, my goodness. And that's bullpen work, I think, because Matt Mace left in the fourth inning with that injury. So the bullpen has been amazing. Meanwhile, a 3-run homer for Verdugo puts Las Vegas right back into this game. Now it's 9-7, just down 2 runs here. And 2 on with 1 out for the Seals, trying to threaten. Sasquatch has had an insurance run, and the Seals take a lead in the 8th inning. Mike Wilson singles, driving in a run, so 3-2. And all of a sudden, Kingston's down to their last 3 outs. Las Vegas threatening 2 on, 2 outs. They can't score, so on to the bottom of the 8th. 9-7, Fort Collins with the lead. 2 down for Kingston here quickly, and that is it. The Seals get one in the bottom of the 8th to win this game and take a 3-1 series lead over Kingston with a 3-2 win. 2 down in the 9th for the Herons, and they are done here in Game 4. So the Sasquatches get a win in the series with a 4-0 victory here in Game 4, and they stay alive. 5-hit shutout for Cameron Phillips of the Sasquatches. Bases loaded, nobody out for Somerville in the top of the 11th. Is this going to be it? Are they going to break through? Herrera strikes out swinging. And they do! Grand slam! Nelson Reyes in the top of the 11th inning, breaking the game open. Montreal's going to have 3 outs remaining here, but that is a big lead for the way this game has gone so far. Somerville looking to complete the sweep here of the Montreal machine. Meanwhile, Las Vegas down to their last out here. Man on second. Tying run at the plate. But they can't get it done, so Fort Collins gets the 9-7 win on a pretty, on a small comeback, I guess. They're down 4-1, but up 3-1 in the series, so the best team in baseball on the ropes. Best team on both sides on the ropes, down 3-1. And that'll do it. So Somerville takes that'll do it in Montreal. Somerville sweeps the series 4-0 and wins the game 4-0 in the 11th inning on a grand slam by Nelson Reyes. So that's it for the first half of the Divisional Championship Series. We have a couple 3-1 series leads and a sweep. We will see if any of these teams have a comeback in them as we do games 5, 6, and 7 in the future here. I'm going to drop the injury log, going to drop the file, and we will wait for our 6 teams to export to move forward. Real quick, we'll take a look at the MVP of the Somerville series. And it goes to Frank Escobar, the third baseman for Somerville. Escobar, 5 for 17, 2 homers and 5 RBIs on the series. So Escobar gets the MVP award. Looks like Chris Robertson out 3 weeks for the Frontenacs. Matt Mace out for 2 weeks, but he is out of the playoffs, so no effect there. But yeah, the big injury probably Jeremy Dunn for Las Vegas. If they happen to survive here, that's going to be a missing pitcher in their rotation as we move forward. So congratulations to Somerville for advancing. Great season to Montreal for getting this far, and we will wrap up the rest next time.